Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10 with me, Mohammed Amin Carlos. Well, the Court of Appeal today dismisses the appeal brought by 33 assemblymen against a High Court ruling over the Sabah Yang di-Pertuan Negeri's decision in dissolving the State Legislative Assembly on 30th July. Well, Justice Dato Abdul Karim Abdul Jalil, who led a three-member bench comprising Justices Dato Abu Bakar Jais and Dato Supang Lian, also rejected the assemblymen's bid for a stay of today's ruling pending an appeal to the Federal Court. Well, Justice Dato Abdul Karim ruled that Sabah Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Tun Johar Mahiruddin had correctly exercised his discretion according to the Sabah Constitution in dissolving the State Legislative Assembly. The 33 assemblymen, led by former Chief Minister Tan Sri Musa Aman, had appealed against the Kota Kinabalu High Court dismissal of their application for leave for a judicial review to challenge the decision of the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri made on 30th July. Now, the court made the ruling after hearing submissions for 2 days, beginning yesterday, by counsel Dato Firoz Hussain Ahmad Jamaluddin, who represented the assemblymen, Sabah Attorney General Brandon Keith So, who acted for Tun Johar's counsel, Dato Cyrus Das, who appeared for Chief Minister Dato Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdal, and State Government and Senior Federal Counsel Susanna Atan, who acted for the EC. Now, with this ruling, the Sabah state election will proceed as scheduled. The Election Commission has set 12 September for nomination and 26 September for polling. Well, water supply to all areas in the Klang Valley affected by the unscheduled disruption due to the industrial effluent pollution in Sungai Gong, Rawang, is expected to be fully restored by 8 a.m. tomorrow. Environment and Water Minister Dato Sri Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man said, as of today, taps are flowing again at approximately 96% of these areas.
Alhamdulillah, sedikit telah pun sebahagian besar penduduk pun telah menerima bekal air. Kita jangka pada hari besok sekitar dalam 6-7 jam 8 pagi masing-masing semua dapatlah bekal air. Jadi saya dah jumpa dengan Menteri Besar Selangor dan minta supaya beliau juga memberi perhatian kepada kilang-kilang yang dibina tanpa kilang-kilang haram lah sepanjang.
Speaking to reporters in Langat, Selangor today, he said samples of contaminated water from Sungai Gong have also been analysed and results from the test will be used as evidence for further action and announcement. In the meantime, Dato Sri Tuan Ibrahim said the government will also look at the implementation of the Project Takungan Air Pinggiran Sungai to be more widely used as an alternative raw water source in the event of any river pollution incident. Well, meanwhile, water supply to all areas affected by unscheduled disruptions in Hulu Selangor, Kuala Langat and Kuala Selangor was fully restored today. Pengurusan Air Selangor Sendirian Berhad, or Air Selangor Corporate Communications Head Elena Basri, in a statement today said 65 areas in Klang, Shah Alam, Gombak, Petaling and Kuala Lumpur were still in the supply restoration process. She said water supply restoration in Gombak has reached 98.18%, Petaling 97.37%, Klang or Shah Alam 80.79% and Kuala Lumpur 92.71%. Overall, Elena said 1,227 or 94.97% of the 1,292 affected areas have had their supply restored. However, she said there is one area which has not fully recovered, although it is listed in Group 1 where supply should have been restored at midnight on 7 September. There are also 13 areas listed under Group 2 that still do not have water supply and should have been restored at midnight last night. She said Air Selangor was making efforts to stabilize the distribution system to restore supply to the affected areas. Consumers are advised not to store and use water excessively to ensure that the recovery process in areas still affected by disruptions can proceed smoothly according to the restoration plan of Air Selangor. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has begun investigations into the issue of pollution of Sungai Gong in Rawang, Selangor. MACC, in a statement today, said the probe is looking into elements of corrupt practices involving any parties, including enforcement agencies. MACC also urged anyone with information on the issue to come forward and cooperate with the authorities. Yesterday, it was reported that the factory suspected to be involved in the river pollution was found to have operated without a license since 2014. Well, the number of new COVID-19 cases rose to 3 figures today, with 100 cases reported compared with 62 yesterday, bringing the total cumulative tally to 9,559 cases. And Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said of the 100 new cases, 85 were local transmissions involving 55 Malaysians and 30 foreigners, while 15 were imported cases. Elaborating on the 85 local transmissions, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said that 62 of the cases were from the Benteng LD cluster in Sabah, while the remaining 23 cases were from the Sungai cluster, with 22 reported in Kedah and 1 in Perlis. Despite the sudden spike in cases brought by the Benteng cluster, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the cases were under control as the transmissions were not spread in the community.
Dan setakat ni di IPD polis, lokal polis di Tawau dan juga di penjara Tawau, kes-kes ini terkawal. Dia bukan dalam masyarakat tetapi terkawal dalam. Contohnya hari itu kita juga ada kes 277 kes di depo tahanan imigresen Bukit Jalil. Jadi terkawal dalam situ, bukan di dalam masyarakat.
The 15 imported cases reported today involve 2 Malaysians and 13 non-Malaysians returning from India, Indonesia, Pakistan and the Philippines. On active cases, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said that 7 patients were being treated in the intensive care unit, with 4 on respiratory assistance. There were 12 cases of recovery and no COVID-19 related deaths today. Police arrested 72 people yesterday for violating health regulations under the Recovery Movement Control Order, the RMCO. Now, Senior Minister for Security, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, in a statement said from the total number of arrests, 70 were issued with compounds, 1 was remanded, while another was released on police bail. Well, according to him, they were arrested and detained for failure to prepare screening and registration facilities, operating their premises over the time limit, not wearing face masks, escaping from quarantine, and conducting activities where social distancing was difficult. Meanwhile, the senior minister said the Benteng involving the police, armed forces, Maritime Enforcement Agency and Border Security Agency also participated in 79 highway roadblocks nationwide yesterday. Well, he said 25 undocumented migrants were arrested, including 1 man believed to be involved in a human trafficking syndicate. On mandatory quarantine from 24th July until yesterday, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri said a total of 24,961 individuals have returned home from 32 countries and were placed at 67 hotels, 4 public training institutes, as well as higher education institutions throughout the country. Now, from the total, he said some 9,887 individuals are undergoing mandatory quarantine, 66 were sent to hospitals for treatment, and 15,008 had been discharged. Government to renegotiate Mentaka Port Klang ECRL alignment. And News at 10 continues. Well, a full report on illegal activities in Sungai Buloh has been submitted to the Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur. Bukit Aman Integrity and Standard Compliance Department Director Dato' Zamri Yahya said the department has conducted a comprehensive investigation for 10 days in Sungai Buloh.
Rasa untuk makluman semua ni, untuk tahun lepas, sehingga tahun ni kita telah dapat 447 serbuan atas permit judi di sekitar Sungai Buloh. Jumlah yang besar tu. 447 serbuan daripada last year sampai Julai tahun ini, di mana tanggapan sejumlah 665 orang ditangkap dan 765 rampasan gadget, handphone, tablet sebagainya. Jadi pada pandangan saya, satu tindakan perlu dibuat secara keterusan dan baik oleh pihak polis Sungai Buloh lah.
On allegations that Sungai Buloh police personnel and officers were in cahoots with the gambling syndicate, Dato' Zamri said the department has also checked their assets and wealth.
Kita menyiasat, banyak premis dah tutup. Kita tak menangkap sebarang operator judi. Cuma kita buat check-in tentang aset-aset ataupun harta benda ataupun kekayaan yang dimiliki oleh pihak polis Sungai Buloh ni, daripada OSPD sampai beberapa pegawai berkaitan tu. So daripada pisatan kami buat tu, dapati bahawa mereka ni asetnya kadar munasabah.
Speaking to reporters after witnessing the handing over ceremony for the Kuala Lumpur Chief Police Officer's post today, Dato Zamri said JIPS also recommended Sungai Buloh Police for conducting more integrated operations on illegal gambling dens along with local authorities and other relevant agencies. The government will renegotiate with the Chinese government and the main contractor of the East Coast Rail Link, also known as the ECRL project, for the latest update on the Mintaka Port Klang alignment costs and project schedule. Deputy Transport Minister Hasbi Hasbibollah said the renegotiation had to be undertaken after the previous Pakatan Harapan government suspended the original Mintaka Port Klang alignment, which passed through Bentong and Gombak before ending in Port Klang.
Pada masa ini, jajaran C, Section C iaitu mentakap Pelabuhan Klang sedang dikaji dan diperhalusi terutamanya laluan asal yang melalui Bentong, Gombak dan seterusnya ke Pelabuhan Klang. Cadangan asal projek ECRL pada tahun 2018 iaitu sebelum penggantungan projek telah mengambil kira pembinaan sistem landasan bagi tolok meter iaitu dengan izin meter gauge bagi KTMB dan juga tolok standard iaitu the standard gauge dengan izin bagi ECRL yang akan dibina dari Serendah ke Pelabuhan Klang.
Speaking in the Dewan Negara today, Hasbi said the Serendah station was identified as a suitable interchange for passengers and cargo between KTMB and the ECRL. According to him, through these two services, it will indirectly integrate and improve the rail network between the East Coast states and the northern states of Peninsular Malaysia. Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad MAHB expects its travel retail e-commerce platform Shop My Airports to contribute at least 10% in sales for its non-aeronautical segment. MAHB Group Chief Executive Officer Dato Muhammad Shukri Muhammad Saleh said the group is looking to achieve 280 million ringgit in sales from the Shop My Airports in the next 2 to 3 years.
Previous year, this is before COVID, we were doing last year about 2.8 billion in sales. 2.8 billion sales at all our airports throughout the country. So looking at 10% of that, we are looking at roughly about 280 million sales that we target to achieve next 3 to 3 years. Of course, this is subject to recovery of the passenger traffic itself.
Dato Muhammad Shukri said the Shop My Airports is part of MAHB's Airports 4.0 plan under its digital transformation initiative to enhance passenger experience, particularly on the retail front, and also part of its efforts to facilitate business recovery of airport retailers that had been adversely affected by the impact from the pandemic. He said 39 airports managed by MAHB nationwide will have access to the platform. He added that the first phase of the Shop My Airports will focus on domestic travellers and local home shoppers. And that concludes this evening's News at 10. In our top story, court dismisses appeal over Sabah Assembly, and this dissolution has done state election to proceed. Well, join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.